And this particular question I'm calling Mystique versus Mystique. Rebecca Romijn versus Jennifer Lawrence. Who wore it better? Who wore it better? Both of these women starred, had very prominent starring roles in the X-Men films, both playing the same character of Mystique, both in different timelines. But which Mystique wore the costume better? Not just wore the costume better, but which one of these particular actors did a better job at portraying the character of Mystique in the X-Men films? Linda, you had the coin toss last time. This time it goes to Kay. Kay, heads for Rebecca Romijn, tails for Jennifer Lawrence. Guess the coin toss.
Tails.
Tails. It is tails, indeed. So you will be arguing for Jennifer Lawrence, and Linda, you are arguing for Rebecca Romijn. I will give you guys about 5 seconds to get in your minds a little bit. Rebecca Romijn for Linda, Jennifer Lawrence for Kay. Linda, let's start things off with you. What makes Rebecca Romijn a better Mystique than Jennifer Lawrence?
Well, I feel like the way she was portrayed in the original X-Men series, she just had that general, like, there was a lack of a backstory, but she just had that embodiment of a mysterious character who fit in with a shapeshifter, etc. She was probably our first introduction to Mystique in the live-action films. And honestly, I was not a fan of Jennifer Lawrence when she got cast in the role. So
tell me why.
She just kind of, it was kind of after Winter's Bone came out, and I just felt that she had a very flat personality, which could have been beneficial to her character in the X-Men series, but I went into watching those films with not the highest expectations, and then yep.
All right.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Rebecca
cool.
Romijn.
Awesome.
All
Yeah,
the way.
I'll give you
Sorry.
a minute just to regroup your thoughts a little bit. Kay, on your side of the coin, what makes Jennifer Lawrence a better Mystique than Rebecca Romijn?
So, first off, that makeup must have taken hours and hours and hours to do. And I'm sure Rebecca Romijn went through a similar process. However, you would assume that over the 10 years between when Rebecca Romijn was first Mystique and when Jennifer Lawrence was first Mystique, there would have been some sort of speeding up of that process. And in reality, there wasn't. It still took about the same amount of time. So her commitment to that character, knowing going into it that is what she was signing up for, is incredible. Also, she didn't have to do the last X-Men movie that she did. Her contract was up. She had her chance to get out. And then for somebody who's playing a character they weren't super like in love with, they still decided to do it for the fans and see that character's arc through. And I think that's a really genuinely good thing for an actor to, rely on as far as like, what can I do for the fans to finish up this character's story? So that's why Jennifer Lawrence is the superior Mystique.
Jennifer Lawrence being the superior Mystique. Linda, do you have a rebuttal to that? She knew about the makeup process, and she came back to reprise the role when she didn't have to. Thoughts?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in like X-Men First Class, they did bring back Rebecca Romijn for a Mystique flashback. Yes. I just feel like that was kind of something on a pedestal for Jennifer Lawrence to look up to, and just kind of, I don't know, like the standard for Mystique, because basically before that we just had the animated series and everything. So
this is true, which raises an interesting point. So let me throw this to both of you. Being that, Linda, you just mentioned the animated series, which incarnation, Rebecca Romijn or Jennifer Lawrence, was more closely related to the animated series? Linda, you brought it up, so I'm going to throw it back to you.
Rebecca Romijn.
Great. Tell me why.
Kind of like just... Well, she just kind of had like this... very pompous like air and mystery, which you could kind of see in Evolution and the original animated series, and And then Jennifer Lawrence was a little bit more relatable. They had her more outside of the character in the films. So I feel like she just embodied what the mutant Mystique was supposed to be, essentially.
Okay. Why does Jennifer Lawrence have a closer relationship to Mystique, either in the comics or in the animated series?
So I think she has a closer relationship to Mystique in the comics and the animated series because she had an origin story in this version, and it gave us a chance to understand how she became the more pompous, confident character that she is in the comics and in the cartoons. And these films gave us that chance to see that growth. She started out as like a shy, lost child, became a fun, confident, almost sibling to Professor X. And then further, when she became a villain, she got to that level. So we got a chance to see that evolution as opposed to Rebecca Romijn went right into it, which isn't her fault because the character was already established in those films. But I would still maintain that Jennifer Lawrence is a more accurate depiction.
Interesting. All right, cool. So let's go into the last portion here. Linda, I'm going to throw it back to you. Is there anything that you left out? Any other points you want to make as to why Rebecca Romijn is the superior Mystique in the films as opposed to Jennifer Lawrence?
I feel like if Jennifer Lawrence was going to be the superior Mystique, we would need a whole Mystique origin series for the X-Men films. Rebecca Romijn kind of embodied the character, and Kay made some great points about her having this evolution from being the shy child and going into the villain that she was. But if we're just taking it as a singular character, without the origin story, etc., I would have to say that Rebecca Romijn is the better Mystique.
Fantastic.
If that makes
I
sense.
do. Okay. Oh,
and
yes.
Also, Mystique origin film, please.
I would very much like a Mystique origin
I
film.
agree with that.
Okay. Final arguments. What is it about J-Law? Why is she better? Anything you left out?
One thing I would point out is that Rebecca Romijn, when she finished off that character and her character arc of Mystique, she was in another show, and at one point in the show, I think she was a reporter. Somebody sprayed blue paint on her, and the blue paint that they sprayed on her was the same color as Mystique, and she said it was her way of nodding and giving a quick little goodbye to the character, and that was nice. Yeah, really lovely. But then she came back for that flashback you mentioned, so she still wasn't willing to let it go, even though Jennifer Lawrence had stepped in her shoes. So that's why I'm maintaining that Jennifer Lawrence is the superior Mystique, because she saw the character through beginning to end and didn't come back.
We had two really strong arguments here. Linda, your argument towards the beginning was a little weak. Kay, you came out of the gate swinging. But towards the end, Linda, you really started swinging me back, saying that like this was the kind of role that she originated. Kay, even though you're speaking with confidence, there was something you said towards the end that it seemed to throw yourself under the bus just a hair, and for that reason, I'm giving the point to Linda. So we are currently tied 1-1, Kay to Linda. This is awesome. I was leaning with Kay until at the very end. Linda, you came back and you had
I only believed about the things that said. I'm trying so hard here.
You're doing better than I am.
It's funny, Kay, because there were a few points that you made at the beginning that I was like, oh, I wish I was debating right now, because I would 1-2 sucker punch you. I was like, nope.
Trying.
I was 10 when the first X-Men movie came out. So most of my knowledge of Mystique comes from X-Men Evolution when I was 11, 12, 13.
Fantastic show. It was a fantastic.
And I've seen exactly this many episodes of the animated show, so I'm like, I have no idea. I've seen more of the Japanese Spider-Man than I have seen animated X-Men, so I have no idea what I'm saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Do you agree with my ruling here? Do you feel that Linda had the stronger argument, or do you actually think that Kay had the stronger argument? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.